Out of all the characters in TPOT, Donut has had one of the greatest improvements out of all the characters. In episode 17 of TPOT, it did a lot with characters that didn't get to do much. Tree fought off the giant spider, TV took over said spider, Bottle literally became the host, Price Tag and Winner had a nice friendship. But most importantly, I feel like the biggest improvement they made in that episode was with Donut, turning him from a character that didn't get to do all that much to a really interesting character with lots to talk about. I'll be talking about Donut's history throughout the entirety of this show, so let's start with BFDIA 1. It's kinda shocking that Donut got 307 votes to join BFDIA. For context, that's more than characters like Pen and Snowball. It's even more shocking that Teardrop got 585. Anyway, in this episode, Donut didn't get to do all that much, but what we do see of him is very interesting. He's very heated here compared to later in the season, getting into a long argument with Pencil over the team sizes, and also choosing Match just in spite of Pencil, at least that's what I presume he's doing. And to be fair, Donut was kind of in the right within this argument. Donut is also very rule-abiding. On top of trying to make sure the teams are more even, he's also the only one not to switch to join a bigger team and get an advantage. So with all of that, it seems that we have quite the interesting character, huh? I wonder what he does next episode. Oh, he's the first one out. I mean, yeah, Coiny and Pin do have a lot of fans, somehow, but seriously? Over Donut? Donut was actually interested in this episode, and yeah, he might have seemed a bit rude, but so was Pin the entirety of last season. Feels kinda weird that Pin didn't get to do much mean things in that episode, doesn't it? Feels like the writers wanted a certain someone to get out first. Either way, Donut gets out and there's not that much left to talk about him. Like, sure, he hosted that one bit in BFDIA 14, but really doesn't really do all that much. In BFB, Donut didn't really get to do all that much until BFB 6, where he became the host for a few episodes. I mean, he was fine as a host. For some reason, he was really biased towards his own team, which might make some sense, but as we established from BFDIA, he really seems like the one to care about the rules a bit more. And other than that, Donut still doesn't get to do much the rest of the season. His hosting period was quite short. Guys, do you want to know something funny? Donut, for the first 15 episodes of TPOT, has done pretty much nothing except from one episode. Throughout the entirety of like 2 years of episodes, Donut has only done like anything significant in one episode out of all of those. I guess you could count episode 8 as he also done something, but not really. All he does is loses his arms and does the worst intro ever. Donut was kinda cursed being put on teammates because that team does absolutely nothing at all. Not really, and that includes him. In episode 3, it was pretty much just a game of luck on whoever was safe that episode because all the characters there have done absolutely nothing at all. It's genuinely a miracle this guy stayed when you see how close the votes are. An 8 vote difference. And yeah, Donut's significantly more recognizable and popular than Saw, but still, it was an 8 vote difference out of 60,000 or something like that. I'm pretty sure there's one episode where Donut has more screen time in the end credit scene. That is how abysmal his screen time is within these episodes. Not even the most character-focused episodes of the earlier episodes of this season did anything with Donut. Bro did absolutely nothing at all, and the only reason he survived the second time in episode 9 was for Bitty votes of him losing his arms. Now, I know he was made team leader in episode 12, but like Golf Ball said, all he did was flip the little timer thing multiple times over and over again with Barf Bag, which pretty much anybody in that team would do, and it's not really that interesting, the fact that he does that. Like, oh wow, one good leader, just flips over another timer for an extra 3 minutes. Unlike in episode 4, it's an absolute miracle Bro survived yet again, okay? In that episode, the reason Golf Ball was safe because she was one of the only people to do anything. Pillow and Winner, despite not getting to do that much at all, were next to safe because they were interesting before episode 12. But, like I stated earlier, Donut was not interesting at all before this episode, or not even during episode 12 as well. So it's kind of weird that that many people voted for him anyway, because he did nothing in any of the episodes then. I'm kind of shocked that not even Barfbag or even Yellowface got more votes than Donut in that episode. Yellowface was the goofy comic relief character for most of the season at that point. Barfbag did around the same things that Donut did, like had the same amount of screen time and the same amount of interesting moments. But at least Barfbag started a zombie apocalypse and also was the one to have the nightmare in TPOT 10. It's kind of weird that she got out, but it's kind of weird that Donut got that many votes and evaded the bottom two despite not doing that much. And yeah, it was probably because he was made out to be team leader. However, I don't think that would be that good of a reason for people to vote for Donut. If anybody watching this voted Donut in TPOT 12, please just explain why. I'm not being rude, I'm just genuinely curious. However, with what Donut did in TPOT 13, 16, and 17, I'm kind of happy he got to stay in for a bit longer. Because in TPOT 13, him and Donut keep on arguing about being the team leader. I swear, aside from host, the only interesting thing this guy does is argue with people. I thought this was quite interesting. Golf Ball believing in winning challenges because she knows that her plans are probably the best, and Donut trying to get everyone's input in and make sure that everyone's enjoying being a part of the team. I quite like this. It shows more of his caring side. And whilst he doesn't get to convince Golf Ball in this, Golf Ball does learn to value the team more. I mean, after the whole world nearly ends, which I guess makes sense. And speaking of TPOT 15 and 14, Donut goes back to doing absolutely nothing. To be fair, Claudia wasn't going to be up for elimination for the next 3 episodes, so I guess it makes sense to give every single character a backseat. In TPOT 16, however, there's a double elimination which Donut is a part of with a bunch of fan favourite characters from throughout the series. So Donut's got to do something really interesting to stand against all these goats of the series. Throughout this episode, we see how Donut cares more about each of the individual characters. He genuinely cared about Yellowface after he was thrown off a literal building, and he was also genuinely caring for Pencil when she starts getting flashbacks of what happened back in BFB2. Anyway, it takes being thrown out a literal window and right into danger for Donut to finally call out Pencil for being kind of mean to everyone. And then he reassures Pencil that the team does actually care about her. This was a bit of an improvement for Donut this episode, however I still feel he was the most boring out of the entirety of the team this episode. However, TPOT 17 makes me really glad he did stay. In TPOT 17, Donut gets casually kidnapped. This scene is clearly the reason Donut's more popular now, and it's for a pretty good reason. One hasn't showed up since TPOT 15, which was practically 2 decades ago, so getting to see more of this character was pretty cool. And we have Big Ol' Brain to thank for this. In the background, I don't know if it's a background redesign or just a general lore thing, but it seems that one had been rage baited by none other than non-existy and the whole place is trashed. So when Donut's here, she just kind of loses her patience and is like, I guess she really cared for that joke that Gatey didn't even like. And Donut tries to get out as soon as possible. I mean, it's not really a good thought to know that you've been kidnapped by the same person that also kidnapped one of your close friends and 3 other people. And one, who still clearly has lost her patience, just slams him into a shelf. One goes on about Donut doing something for himself for one, revealing that one of the reasons she brought Pencil into the show on purpose was just so she could annoy Donut, and not that the fact that the writers had no clue what to do with life. And in this predicament, Donut finally figures out the answer: violence. Donut has just earned a new achievement, successfully rage bait the villain. One rips all his limbs off, which is only 2 at this point, and throws him out the portal. And in a way to show that one has way more power when she signs the deals, Donut, who didn't sign the deal, ends up getting what he wants anyway. Quite convenient for him. This scene also implies that objects can just attach limbs to themselves because Golf Ball asks if she can have the limb. Donut didn't do much more after this, and he really didn't need to. His team wasn't up for elimination, and it's one of the most memorable scenes of the villain. I really like the one scene since it really shows that Donut would rather not keep his arms in order to make sure that the person that's been kidnapping lots of people and purposely tries to hide the fine print of the deals, unlike how Ice Cube and even Fanny did. I think it was all in the right to sign the deal though. I mean, the world's gonna end. Sorry this video took an extra week to make. I was just being lazy. But in all seriousness, thanks for watching this video, and I think I'll be making videos less often, but I'll be making more shorts, so stay tuned for that. I'm gonna make this outro a bit short, so yeah.